At school, if you're not super smart, okay, if you're not really academic and you're going to struggle to get into university and you're going to struggle to get a job, maybe it's easy to think, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to be successful, I'm not going to be able to make much money, I'm not going to be able to amount to anything. But actually, I didn't do super well in school. I tried really hard in school, I put my all into it, but naturally I wasn't as smart as many as the other kids. But even though I was at school and I wasn't that smart, I was constantly thinking, well, what am I good at? You know, maybe I'm not good at doing English exams, maybe I'm not good at maths, but what am I good at? And I realized I was quite good at making money. So I got some paper rounds, and I started working, you know, while I was at school. And again, if you're not super smart academically, let's say right now you're thinking, man, I'm not as smart as Sally, I'm not as smart as Ben, they're going to be so much more successful than me, okay? Maybe you might think, I have to go on to do something like be a builder, or be a mechanic. I need to, if I can't use my brain at going to university, maybe I have to use my hands, become a masseuse or something. And that's what I thought. So in the 6-week school summer holiday, while everyone else was playing and just going out in the sunshine and stuff, I signed up for a course. It was a 7-day course, and it taught me how to be a plasterer. Now, a plasterer is when you plaster the walls. So if there's like brick walls, and you want to make them nice and shiny, ready to paint, you have to learn how to plaster the walls. So I learned to plaster, and I thought I was really good at plastering. After 7 days, I was like, I'm so good at plastering, I'm going to start making money as a plasterer. So I put a little advert in the newspaper, cost me £15. Put a little advert in the newspaper, and I said, if anybody wants a plasterer, book me, evenings and weekends. However, I thought I was really good at plastering, but I wasn't actually that good. Because I took on this job to plaster a whole room. And I started plastering the room, but what I forgot is they didn't teach me on the course how to plaster ceilings. So I'm trying to plaster this ceiling, but it's not really working, and all the plaster's falling down on me. And I remember the client, the person that was paying me, she's there watching me plaster, and I'm there, and I'm like really embarrassed, thinking this is terrible, the plaster's falling down on me. And she's standing there, she's this big rich, you know, lady that's paying me to plaster. She's standing there watching. She says to me, she says, Samuel, she says, you're not really a plasterer at all, are you? And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. So I was like, no, well, the thing is, I'm kind of still learning. But I said, I will get this job finished. I will, give me a couple days and I'll get this job finished. And she's like, okay, so she leaves. So I'm there trying to plaster this ceiling. And I've got paid £150 to do this, which to me at the time was massive money. So I'm there plastering this ceiling, and it's all falling down on me, and it's not working. And then I get home, my mum's like, hey, she says, you know, are you okay? And I'm really stressed. And now I've got my schoolwork to do, and I've got to plaster this ceiling. So what I did is I thought, okay, if I can't do it, as a business person, what do you do when you can't do something as a business person? I'll tell you what you do. When you can't do something as a business person, what you have to do, you have to find someone else who can do it. That's what business is. Generally at school, right, if you can't do your exam, you've got to learn to do your exam. You can't copy someone else's work. That's cheating, right? In business, it's a little bit different. In business, how it works is, if you can't do something, what you have to do, and this is what I've learned to do in business. This is why, even when I was at school and I was sat on a special needs desk and I was failing, I've got ADHD, I've got dyslexia, I can't tie my freaking shoelaces. But this is why I've gone on to be able to make millions of pounds, because I've learned in business that if you can't do something, as long as you can find somebody who can, then you can then be successful, because working together is better than working on your own in business. So what I did was I found somebody on an advert called Indeed who was looking for work as a plasterer. And I said to him, this is a little bit cheeky what I did, but I said to him, I want to employ you to come and work for me. I didn't tell him I was 15 years old, because that would have kind of put him off a little bit. I said, I want to employ you to come and work for me, but in order to get the job, you need to show me what you're capable of. I want to put you through a trial day, okay? So he's like, cool, man, his name's Tom. Tom's like, cool, man, what do I need to do? I said, what you need to do is you need to meet me in Wolverhampton at this time, this place, and we're going to spend a few hours together, and I want to watch your skills. So Tommy comes down. Tommy meets me, 9 a.m., Friday, comes down, meets me. I said, right, in order for me to employ you, I need to see your skills. Your first job, Tommy, I want to watch you plaster this ceiling. Now, I couldn't plaster the ceiling myself. I didn't know how to do it. He's doing it for free. Because he's doing it because he wants a potential job. So Tommy's like, cool. So Tommy starts plastering the ceiling. Within 3 hours, the ceiling is plastered. It's finished. Tommy didn't get paid anything. I said to Tommy, I said, great job, Tommy. I took my 150 quid from the lady that paid me. The job's really done. It's beautiful. I then employed Tommy as a contractor. And Tommy was charging me, Tommy wanted £70 a day. So I was like, okay, cool. I can pay you £70 a day. I'm 15, guys, at this time. I'm 15. So Tommy wants £70 a day. I then put adverts in the papers, and I charge £150 a day. So I'm like, you want me to plaster? It's £150 a day. So I'm at school, and I've got people going out for me, plastering for £70 a day when I'm charging £150 a day. By the time I left school when I was 16 years old, I had £3,500 saved up in the bank. And I'm thinking, man, I didn't do super well in school, but I got £3,500 saved up. I didn't do super well in school. I'm not super smart, but instead of trying to do everything on my own, I've learned in business that you can get people around you to help you, because it's not just what you know, it's also what people around you know. So now I'm 16, and I finished school when I was 16 years old. So I finished school at 16 years old, and I'm thinking, okay, how can I use my skills, okay, my entrepreneurial skills, to set up a business, make a lot of money, help a lot of people? But when I left school, what I realized that money is kind of like water, in the sense of water is always moving, right? So you have a drink, and then what happens? It comes out, right? Goes in the toilet, flush it down, goes off into the ocean, rises up into the sky, rains back down. It's always moving. It's never still. And I realized money is like that. Money's always moving. So what I thought when I was 16 years old is I thought, where is the money at? Where's most of the money falling? Where are the reservoirs? Where are the streams? And I started reading books. Okay, even though I'm not super smart and I'm not a great reader, it takes me probably 10 times longer to read a book than many of you guys. But I thought I started reading books. I read a book by Richard Branson. Richard Branson, also like me, suffers with dyslexia. So he didn't do super well in school. I read Richard Branson's book. It was called Screw It, Let's Do It. I read a book by Robert Kiyosaki called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I started studying money, and I realized that where most of the money is, if you look on the Sunday Times rich list and you look at all the people that are rich, super rich, most of them are making money in property. So I'm thinking, property is the business I want to do. However, I've only got £3,500. I'm 16 years old. My parents have split up. My dad wants me to work on the market stalls with him. My mom's a mobile hairdresser. I'm not old enough to buy a house. I ain't got enough money to buy a house. So I'm thinking, okay, well, how can I do it? So rather than trying to figure out all the details of how am I going to do it, here's another rule in business and a rule in life. If you want to be something, you've got to find people that are already successful in that field, and you've got to hang around them. If you want to be a dancer, guess what you've got to do? You've got to go and join a dance school, and you've got to find people that are dancers. And if you want to be a martial art expert, you've got to find people who are experts. So I thought, okay. So I went down to a networking event. Now I'm 16. Not probably similar age to some of you in the room, we're just a tiny bit older. So I'm 16, and I went down to this property investors network. I bought myself a suit. It cost me £24. I went down to this networking event, and I got there, and it was in Birmingham, just down the road from here, right? We're in Leicester. I'm from Warsaw, Wolverhampton. So it's in Birmingham. So I went to this networking event in Birmingham. I'm 16. It's a property investors networking event where all the rich people are hanging out. You got people worth £100 million, £200 million. You got people with 100 properties, land developers, big farmers with loads of land. I'm at this event. I'm 16. I got £3,500 that I saved up while I was at school. So I get down to this event, I'm in this suit, and everybody at the event's really rich. And when I sign in at reception, I suddenly feel really, really nervous. I suddenly feel really uncomfortable. I start feeling a bit sick. I'm going to tell you another rule in business. If you want to be very successful, whether that's academically, whether that's in a career, in business, dance. If you want to be really successful, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to get used to doing things that scare you. Because if you just do the same comfortable things again and again and again, if you never stretch yourself, you can never grow. So I'm feeling sick. I'm at this networking event, and they said, I signed in, and they said, Samuel, network with everybody and have fun. So I'm walking around, and there's people coming up to me that are like 55 years old, with hundreds of houses that are looking at me, and they're saying, so what's your property investment strategy then? And I'm like a rabbit caught in headlights. I'm just like, because I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any credit. But what I learned is this. In business and in property, next rule is this. I learned that the marketplace, I really believe this. I believe that the marketplace out there in the real world does not discriminate against you. What it wants, the marketplace wants, is it wants you to be able to add value. What I mean by that is, whether you are black or white, or whether you're man or woman, or whatever you are, whatever your age is, if you're 15, 16, 18, 20, it doesn't matter in business. What matters is how good you are in business. What matters is what value you can bring. So when I was 16 years old, I learned a skill, and this skill made me very rich. The skill that I learned was how to find and calculate good property investments. So I started finding property investments, even I'm 16, even I've got no money, I started finding property investments, and then the people that I met on my networking events, I would pass the deals to them and I would charge a fee. So I'd say, I found a £200,000 house. It's worth 200, but I've negotiated to buy it for 150. I found a £50,000 discount on this house. I can't buy it because I'm broke. I can't buy it because I'm a teenager. But I've negotiated it, I've found it, and then I'd present it to an investor, and they would pay me 2% of the 2% commission of the purchase. So if it's a £200,000 house, I'm getting paid £4,000. As a teenager, I learned how to make £1,000, £2,000, £3,000 in one day. So from at school, struggling with dyslexia, still can't tie my shoelaces, I learned how to make £1,000, £2,000, £3,000 a day because I got comfortable being uncomfortable, because I learned and studied business. I started finding houses and selling houses, and then I started using the money to buy my own houses. And now I own a castle. I own a big castle in near Kidderminster in Bewdley. I own 8 pieces of land that I'm developing on. I build houses from scratch. My net worth is over £20 million. And every year my business turns over about £10 million, making millions of pounds profit. So the reason I wanted to speak to you this morning, the reason I wanted to share with you this morning, I'm going to wrap up in a second, but it's because I wanted to inspire you. And I wanted to show you that regardless, if you're super smart, brilliant, good. If you struggle, okay, no problem. You need to, number 1, find out what you're good at. Number 2, do whatever it takes and get comfortable being uncomfortable. Number 3, surround yourself with good, positive people. And number 4, have masses of belief and go do whatever it takes. And if you do that, I don't know what, maybe your dreams aren't to be a multimillionaire. Maybe your dreams are to be something completely different. But whatever it is that you aspire to do, if you put the right work in, and if you get around the right people, I'm here to just inspire you and say, you know what? It's possible, man. It's possible, because if I did it, you can do it. I'm not paid to be here today. I didn't get paid to be here today. The reason I'm here today is simply because I remember what I was like at school. And I knew that when I was at school, I would have appreciated someone coming in from the business world and spending 15, 20 minutes sharing with me. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm really excited about sharing about more in depth about business later on with some of you guys and talking about how to systemize a business, structure a business. We're going to have a good time. And I appreciate your time. Have yourself a wonderful day.
I've always wanted to start my own business, so learning from somebody who I can relate to, because I've got dyslexia and I've got ADHD. Oh, wow. So it helps me know that even if, because he struggled in school, I do as well. So it helps me know that I can relate to somebody who's successful in life. So it shows me that I've got something I can fall back on or I can look up to. Always have faith in yourself, because you may feel like giving up at times, and obviously you may struggle in certain aspects in school, but just don't ever give up.
With this session, it might have only lasted an hour, but I'm so thankful for Samuel for coming in today and bringing this knowledge and bringing this experience and showing everyone here that I was able to be in this session that no matter what you want to do, you can find success in it, because no matter who you are, there's a market for something you want to do.
The felt that got me was 15 years old and making 3,500. I mean, that's quite kind of special when I'm at that age. Obviously, I'm just at school not doing anything. It makes you think like maybe I could do something, earn money and that at my young age and start now instead of just waiting till later. I'm happy it came. It was nice having this experience in it. Not many students get experience like this, so it was nice.
In our school, we've got lots of students that decide to start their own businesses. So having that extra knowledge, whether it's around property or anything in general, is really, really helpful. So if you're a teacher or careers leader in a school and you're considering having an external speaker come in, whether it's for aspirations raising, whether it's for looking at property investment or business in general, it'd be really good to get in touch with Samuel and see what he can do.